Hey, good morning everyone. Today's project is we are going to put, let me spin you around, this into this. Should be fun, they said. Alright, so anyway, welcome back to Yellow Jacket Garage. Hope this is a fun project. I want to start this off by saying that yes, we are going to install a set of headers into the Road Odyssey GR86. Should be a pretty straightforward project. It looks like everything is pretty well put together. The only thing that was difficult for us, let me adjust the camera base so I can get it in there, was the first thing that you need to do is disconnect your O2 sensor, your oxygen sensor pigtails. The first one is way back down underneath here is where it comes through. I've got one more, I don't even know if you can see that or not, but I've got one more clip to undo before we pull that part out. But you come underneath here, and the one on the side is right here. We already unclipped this, so we pull the sensor. I've already unclipped this one. You unclip it here, you unclip it here, or push that tab in and pull those out. Now your O2 sensors are disconnected except for that one little piece over there, so of course I'll forget that. I want to make sure that you're aware to be very careful down in this section here. I'm not exactly sure what this part is. We got to look it up and figure it all out, but I think it's got to do with some timing cam sensors or something along those lines. This part down here, this little thing, can be kind of brittle, and if you're in here trying to pull those things apart and you hit that and crack it, well, that's going to probably have to be replaced in the very near future. We're not sure even what it's called, so Burke's going to take the car into the Subaru dealership or Toyota dealership and let them know that, hey, I need this part, or have them put that part in. Anyway, exercise caution in that area. So now we've got those done. We're going to go ahead and lift the car up, pull the bottom panel off of it, and then pull the exhaust manifolds out. Should be pretty straightforward, but hopefully we don't get hit with any other surprises. Alright, before we jump into this whole project, I would be remiss if I did not talk about what we're doing here. We've got the Tomei header, Tomei engine specialist, that has plastic on there. I'm not going to peel the plastic off. I'll let Burke peel the plastic off of it because that's the exciting part of this whole thing, and he spent the money to do it. So anywho, this thing comes out of the box really nice. The welds are fantastic on it. There's a crossbar that holds it all in place. We'll pull that back off when we go to install the headers. It helps keep everything located so it doesn't get bent in transit or anything like that. And you want to make sure that the header flanges are as straight as they possibly can be, and that's kind of what that does, because you know how some shippers might just throw your junk over the gate and walk away? Yeah, this will help keep it nice and in one piece when they do that. Not that they're going to. But it also has these bands for if you want to put on the header wrap. I think we're going to postpone the header wrap, see how it performs, and if necessary we'll come back and revisit that later. It does have new header gaskets, flange gaskets, and all that stuff, all the fasteners, and it comes with this nice little tube of anti-seize. So you use anti-seize when you want to put stuff together that you want to be able to come off later if you have dissimilar metals or things like that, and so that it helps make your job easier. Or if you're a major manufacturer engineer, you just throw that crap in the trash, walk away from it, so that you know, it's best for mechanics that way because they really enjoy the challenge. Anyhow, now let's go ahead and jump into this and throw this stuff in, or take the other stuff out, but you know what I mean. We'll be right back. Alright, first things first, we went ahead and put it up in the air, obviously. We pulled the underpan off, and the underpan has three different types of fasteners. It has this, these plastic body panel thingies, and they kind of go along the sides. There's a couple over on that side, a couple in the back I think, and then one kind of in the middle somewhere. And then in the back you have this hole and this hole are these little 10mm bolts. They do have a Phillips head, but they are 10mm, so you can do them that way. And then finally on the perimeter side, front, I think it was, I'm trying to remember where they go, but it doesn't matter. figure it out when we put it back up. But anyway, we had a series of these ones that are 12mm bolts that hold this pan in. So I don't think it's structural, but it sure acts like the way they fastened it in there. Now I could have honestly done away or gone without having these plastic pieces under there, but that's how it goes. So anyway, from there it's a matter of now I'm going to show you which bolts we got to pull to get the exhaust manifold out, and let me do that. Okay, so we're going to start with pulling these ones, and then we will get up underneath here, and there's a bolt there, there's a bolt there, and there's a bolt there on the end. We'll come over to this side. There's a bolt, and there's a bolt up there in the center. And then this whole thing should come down. Now keep in mind I still have that clip to pull off. Let me show you so you can see it. That's on the other side, up here somewhere, which means either we're going to be able to get to it. Oh, I can see it from here. So yeah, we can get that out of there before, without having to without having to bring the car back down again. So anyway, remember to get all those clips off before you go to pull this out. I would strongly recommend doing that. And he's crispy. Wow. Sorry, dude. Anyway, all right, I'll be right back. Once we get this kind of lined out where we're at, I'm going to pull that piece, or I'm going to pull that clip out of there so that we don't get that hung up when we go to pull it out, and then we'll be ready to start knocking bolts loose and pull the old one out. Okay, Burke brought up a good point. This is a better reference to be able to see it. See, there's a 1, 2, 3. We will pull this center rod out here in a few minutes, and then there is 1, 2, 3, the bolts that will bolt this back up. And then, but before we do that, we'll show you here in a minute, but we're going to put all the O2 sensors back in the proper holes where they belong. And so we'll do that here in a few minutes, but that's where they go. And then finally we have our 2 bolts right back here. Let me see if I can see, make sure you can see what I'm pointing at. Those 2 bolts bolt right there. And so should be pretty easy. And I don't anticipate this being a holy cow. Man, this thing is like the grasshopper slayer.
We live in the country.
Yeah, that is true. But anyway, we'll be back in a minute and show you where we're at. All right, so to get this off, I've got one of these elbow wrenches, and it made it immensely more easy to get to that bolt right there rather than a straight wrench. So if you don't have those, it's a good excuse to get you a set of those, because it makes that a lot easier. All right, so there we are. We got it out on the ground. The exhaust flanges, they all look good, nice and clean. There's the O2 sensors, the back one and the front one. We're going to take this over in a minute and swap those over to the new header, get those ready to go in. And then that was really pretty easy though. And let's look up here. We still have a gasket on there. We'll take that gasket off the exhaust flange. Same thing on the other side. We still have that gasket there. Not really worried about it, but all in all, really a pretty easy job. We did have to put a pry bar between this and the exhaust manifold and kind of gently persuade it back out because, well, it didn't want to come out. But it didn't take a whole lot of force, so don't reef on it, don't bend anything, just take your time with it. It'll come out pretty easy. And that's the beauty of these cars, is they actually are pretty decently engineered for people to work on. You're going to have tight spots. It's a small car, live with it. But all in all, as far as doing some of this stuff, a little bit of mods and things, yeah, this is really pretty easy. So we're going to jump over there, swap over the O2 sensors, and you'll see that here in a sec. All right, so I already knocked this one loose. It is a 22mm. Let me see if I can get that up there. It doesn't matter, you guys don't care. You got your stuff, you be aight. And because this is sitting on the ground, I'm just using a box end wrench to pop them loose, because you get teeth all the way around it. And so, yep, they are loose. I'm going to pull the front one out. Yeah, it looks just fine. So, start it back in there. We are going to put a little bit of their anti-seize grease on there before we put it in the new ones. But that is knocked loose, so that's easy enough to do. We'll figure out what the torque spec is, get them as torqued as close as we can, because, you know, it's something that you really can't put a torque wrench onto. But, all right, we're going to go ahead and swap these over, and then we'll begin the process of putting it all back in. All right, so we're getting ready to install the header, the new header into it. We did swap these out. We put a little bit of anti-seize on the bottoms of those. Make sure you don't hit anti-seize on the ends of the sensors. It can screw them up. You don't want to replace them for no reason because they work just fine right now. But anyway, the front sensor has a shorter pigtail. The back sensor has the longer pigtail. That's a good way to tell them apart. But if you're doing this, I would strongly recommend change them from the exhaust manifold to the new header one at a time. That way you don't run that risk of getting them mixed up. But that's just my 2 cents worth. We did test fit the header. It fits just great. Looks like it's going to bolt right back in. And so I think it's time to do that. All right, so we got the header hung. We put 1 bolt in this side, 1 bolt in on this side just to hold it in place. And so there we are on that. Now we're going to put the gasket in here and put these bolts through here. We're putting it all together loosely first just to make sure that everything lines up and that we can get all the bolts back in. Now these bolts on the flange here for the exhaust are 35 Newton meters. The header bolts where they bolt to the head is 30 Newton meters. Couldn't find a regular inch or foot-pounds torque spec, but all of our torque wrenches should also have Newton meters on them, so we can get it figured out. So not a big deal. And I don't feel like doing the math right now. Don't even ask me to do math in public. So there, you have that. That's why I didn't give you inch pounds or foot pounds and did the math on it, because I'm not a math person. But thanks for asking. All right, so we're back. I'm trying to remember where I left off, but we got these bolts are in. They're tightened down, 35 Newton meters. The ones up on the top, they're all tightened down, 30 Newton meters. Everything is in. It's all torqued down. Now understand, getting these to line up was not the easiest task in the world. We pre-fit it, and everything lined up just fine. We went to put it in for final, and of course, you know, that's how it goes. And so we wound up having to take a strap wrench, kind of twist the exhaust a little bit, loosened up some hangers and all that good stuff, and then we managed to get it into place, and so that we're there with that. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. Sorry if it makes noise. Let me go over to this side. Now, this bolt back here, I'm getting anti-seize all over my finger now. This bolt back here, to get it torqued was, well, it feels like it's torqued anyway. We went click click, and so that should be it, right? But getting a socket on there, fishing whatever through here and everything else was really virtually impossible. We wound up using a crow's foot. Crow's foot sort of worked. We got it on there, but we did get clicks on it actually with a torque wrench, but it's a crow's foot, so you know, you do the best you can with what you got. But other than that, the outside bolts, that's all easy. It all went back together really pretty well. And so I would just be prepared to have extra tools. Oh, hang on a second, all right, so anyway, the extensions, I've got this set of extensions that's got a thin shank rather than a standard size, where the head comes up here. These ones narrowed down, and that amount of narrower stem made it easier to get through between there to actually be able to get it done. So if you don't have a set of these and you're going to do this, consider getting a set before you get it done, and make sure you have metric crow's feet around. I think that was all that we needed. I don't think there was anything else tool-wise. We went through so many iterations of different stuff trying it on, so we have really no earthly idea of exactly how good or bad that went, but it's all in there. It's all torqued down. We'll be right back. And just in case somebody doesn't know what a strap wrench is, that's a strap wrench, oil filter wrench, whatever you want to call it, but strap wrench is what it is. And it wraps around, it goes back through the handle right there, and then you use it to torque, twist, turn, whatever you're trying to do with it. If you don't have one of those in your shop, you should have one, because they come in handy. All right, before I forget, when you go to plug the pigtails back in, how you can tell which one goes to which is the color. The one is gray, the other one is, or the one is black, the other one is gray. The pigtail colors, or the plug-in colors, are the same as this top plug, so make sure you put the right color in the right one so that they all work like they're supposed to. And I got one little clippy-do is not in the hole. It is now. It's in the hole. All right, it's running, and I'm not hearing any exhaust leaks. I think we're good. All right, now we're back to this point. Got the underbelly back in place. These plastic buttons, you have to pull the thing all the way out if you want to get them to fit in there as easy as possible, but it's not really that big of a deal. All the bolts back in, cover still in place, and we're going to set it back down. All right, so you might ask yourself, why am I sitting here in the shop in front of the garage door instead of having the car in here? Well, it's outside. We took it for a test drive, and quite frankly, it's, you know, it's Texas, it's summertime, it's the second week in August. Wow, time's flying. And it's about 100 degrees outside, so that's why we're inside where we got a little bit of cool AC blowing. But anyway, the job went really pretty well. It was less than 2 hours if it was start to finish, and we were just non-stop working instead of screwing around like, you know, like we do and watching TV and whatnot. But no, really it was a matter of cameras and recording and doing all that stuff, because that takes time. But I don't want to go into that. The job itself was really pretty simple. Taking the old exhaust system out, piece of cake. Really, you know, pretty quick. The most difficult part of it was getting the leads, getting those separated from their little holders on the block. That was really the hard part with that. Pulled it out. You saw us sitting it on the floor, put everything on the new headers and put them back up. We did test fit them before we put all that stuff in. Everything was great. We did run into a little bit of trouble on getting them in there. The final time is because the exhaust pipe needed to twist a little bit to get the bolts through for the exhaust flange. We did get it there. It all tightened up. Everything is great. It was just a little bit of finagling. So other than that, I think that's about it. That's special tools. Be prepared to have to figure some things out, because the driver's side, that back side header flange bolt that goes to the block was a real pain in the butt to get to. And to get tight, we wound up using a crow's foot and a narrow shank, which we showed you in the video, the narrow shank extension to get up between the header tubes and whatnot. But if you don't have those, you'll find a way to get around it. It's just, that was the one spot that was problematic for us. Everything else went back together pretty well, other than, you know, doing the normal adjustment stuff that you have to do anyway. So I think you can do it. I think just have to have patience and make sure that the tools that you have available are at least an average amount. You know, your toolkit that you can get from the Craftsman with the big blow mold thing with all those probably has enough in there to get it done. You're going to need a torque wrench. You're going to need, you know, all that other stuff too. But those toolkits probably will be okay with that.
Engine code.
Engine code. We did have a check engine light pop up afterwards. We think that it was because once we had the sensors, the O2 sensors were disconnected, we had to energize the car to check something else, and I think that's when it went in. I actually took the scan tool, just went in there and canceled those out, deleted them, and they haven't come back since, and so I think we're good on that. But be prepared for that. If you don't have one, have access to a scan tool so that if you got codes, you can clear them back out. It's piece of cake. Other than that, I think that's about it. So I'm not going to keep you around. Hey, if you haven't already done so, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Appreciate it. As far as videos, you guys know how I do this thing anyway. It's not for money, it's for fun. And so I put out a video when I put out a video. But you can always comment down below and say, hey, I'd like to see a video on whatever topic it is, and I'll see what I can do to find that vehicle or find that whatever it is to try to figure out how to do it. Be more than happy to do that. So put a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what you want to see. Other than that, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching Yellow Jacket Garage. And as always, we'll see you on down the road.